The basic structure of all tarot decks is the same. There are 78 cards made up of two parts, or arcana, from the Latin word for secret: the major arcana and the minor arcana. The 56 minor arcana cards are the forerunners of our modern playing cards, and like them are divided into 4 suits. The major arcana looks quite different. They are all picture cards full of complex images. They represent archetypes, the universal symbols which psychologists believe are present in the collective subconscious. Tarot readers see the cards as typifying the challenges we all meet in real life. Only the Fool card stands apart. Unlike the other major arcana cards, he doesn't have a number. He's not a fool in a modern sense, rather an open-minded innocent, eager to learn. In the tarot, he represents us, the human traveler through life.
The Fool I see as like the original. It's the 0 card. It's no beginning, no end. And it's just that spontaneous burst of energy, which has no moral, no anything. It's neither good nor bad. It just is.
Many tarot readers are helped to understand the tarot by seeing it as the story of the Fool's journey through the major arcana. The remaining cards are numbered 1 to 21, and they can be seen in order as staging posts through which the Fool passes on his allegorical journey from birth to enlightenment. The cards would never fall in this order during a reading. Indeed, the Fool card is no more likely to appear in a reading than any other. But following the Fool on this metaphorical journey makes the meanings and associations of each card become clear. As the Fool begins his quest, he meets the first card, numbered 1. The Magician.
The magician is the intellect, it's the academic side, the knowledge, the brain, the power, the mind. And that the magician is always shown pointing to heaven and pointing to earth. The idea is you act as a lightning conductor for energy.
The magician is a creator. He symbolizes the Fool's birth, his spark into life, his vital energies. From him, the Fool learns to create new opportunities and ideas. When the Magician card appears in a reading, it means that the querent must be ingenious and creative in dealing with his problems. Sometimes, a card is dealt upside down. This reversal alters its meaning, usually to an extreme form of the card's face qualities. If the Magician, for example, is dealt reversed, it suggests cunning, trickery, or outright deception. Almost as important as the face meaning of the card is the place where it appears in the spread, its position. In the most simple spreads, the position determines what point in time the card refers to.
When you do a 3-card spread, you get the client to shuffle the cards, and then you slap them into 3 piles. And I take it that the left-hand pile represents the past, the middle pile is the present situation, and the third, obviously, how it's progressing into the future. If you need more clarification on the spread, you literally just take from the relevant pile with each card to sort of elucidate what past influence is. And again, they're usually very immediate readings.
For some readers, the position of a card in the larger spreads also determines which aspect of the querent's life the card is describing.
There's a money position, there's a romance position, there's father and mother and marriage, and there's travel, and there's, your career. So there's all these positions, and as the cards come up, you limit them to their position, and that gives you a much more precise reading, in my opinion.
Watching tarot readers interpreting their cards, it's easy to imagine this ancient art being handed down from the earliest civilizations. But the history of the tarot is blurred and unclear. It's almost as mysterious as the images themselves. The mystical symbols so common on the tarot cards suggest a connection to the ancient civilizations of the East. 19th century admirers of the tarot assumed that the cards had originated there and filtered into Europe with the first trade and travel contacts between East and West. Another popular theory was that they were brought back by crusaders fighting the Saracens in the Holy Land. Much of the mathematics, astrology, and alchemy then flourishing in the East did indeed travel this route. But the tarot cards didn't appear in Europe until 2 centuries after the last crusaders had returned. How then did the tarot arrive in the West? Professor Michael Dummett, an expert on the history of cards, is convinced that they did not come from the East at all.
It's quite certain that tarot cards originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century. The earliest actual documentary reference to them is from 1442, from the account books of the court of Ferrara. But I think they were probably invented about 2 decades earlier, sometime in the 1420s.
But these cards weren't used to reveal the future. The tarot then was a mere card game. The oldest tarot cards still in existence were painted by an unknown artist for the Italian Visconti family around 1450, when playing the tarot game was a fad of the wealthy. Nobles competed to commission the finest hand-painted decks. The Visconti family even included a portrait of a relative in their deck. Sister Manfreda was a model for their version of the High Priestess, the second card of the major arcana and the next stage of the Fool's journey. The High Priestess is the Fool's spiritual mother. Her book represents all the knowledge which the Fool must acquire on his journey. When the High Priestess card appears in a reading, it may represent the querent's secret lover or an unknown admirer. The parlor game of the Renaissance aristocrats was just the beginning of the tarot story. Gradually, the appeal of the game widened. The cards were simplified, copied, and eventually printed. One of the first decks to become popular was the Marseille, which is still considered a classic. It isn't clear at what point the tarot deck went from popular card game to a system of divination, but the step from playing cards to fortune-telling is a small one. How often in a game of chance do players think that fate has dealt them a bad hand? Chance can rapidly become destiny. At some point in the 3 centuries after their birth, that leap was made with the tarot, and it became more than a pack of playing cards. Gradually, each card acquired a meaning, which for the minor arcana cards closely mirrors the structure of medieval society. The wands, representing the peasants, have taken on the meaning of work and enterprise. The coins, representing the merchants, are now associated with business and finance. The cups, representing the church, now relate to all spiritual matters, including affairs of the heart. And the swords, representing the military class, have taken on the meaning of conflict, tensions, and difficulties. Each card within the suit has also acquired a special meaning. For instance, the 9 of Swords implies paranoia and conflict, while the 7 of Swords represents a severing, either emotional, like a divorce, or physical, like a broken leg.
One woman, I got sword cards in her past, a Knight of Swords, 5 of Swords, all this conflict, fighting and tension, and it was coming up with the 10 of Cups in a family. And I just went into it saying, oh my God, you poor girl, what you've been through, the stress, the battles, everything. And it was like warfare. And she said, yes, I'm from Bosnia.
The Gypsies, nomadic people who moved across Europe and parts of Asia, are sometimes credited with first realizing the fortune-telling possibilities of the tarot. They were known to be card players and gamblers, but they were also experts in mysticism and magic. In previous centuries, it was the gypsies to whom Europeans turned to have their future told, with questions about health, happiness, marriage, and love. In just this way, many people now turn to tarot readers, and their questions are still the same.